moment or two. Okay. So we are live.
Yay.
And if you are hopping on, I would love for you to share where you are at in the world during this time. I'm in Nashville, North Carolina.
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
We'll give it some moments. I have a friend from Denverish visiting me, so weaving between the lands.
Yes. This is our first actual live together, right? I
Well,
think we've recorded together before, but going live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in practice.
Yeah.
First ever live training.
Yes.
Just gonna give it some moments for people to be able to hop on. We've got a couple people joining.
Amazing. I'm curious, does it send a notification? We've got a couple people here. Hello, hello.
I can see them, however many people are in the corner. A couple came on, a couple left.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just wait. Yeah, and if you're hopping on, if you just let us know where you are in the world. And also, if you want to share a little bit about your business, oh my gosh, I just found the button on my headphones I've been looking for. They were like, there's a button. I was like, never found it. We'll give it one more minute until we officially start.
The Heal Your Business Shamanic Business Portal. I'm excited to be experiencing your magic tonight, Phoenix, and sharing a little bit of mine today and tomorrow too.
I'm gonna Hello, good evening. If you're hopping on, we'd just love for you to tell us where you're hopping on from so that we know where you're at. You could just type it into the comments for us. Now they left again. Somebody keeps popping in and out. Boulder, more Colorado peeps.
Denver right here.
I'm just giving it a few more moments before we officially begin.
Would it be? I'm gonna go grab my water and be right back.
Grab some water if you need it. Find a cozy chair, maybe something to write with. Hello, good evening. If you're hopping on, we would love to know where you're hopping in from. And we're about to begin. Where in the world are you? Type it in the comments for us. Hey, hey, Amber. Venus is just getting some water, and then we are going to begin. We're just letting people hop on. It's late in the evening. Try to do it after work so that any and all executives and working people could join, because we like working with working people. And if you're hopping on, let us know where you're hopping on from. Now we're ready to begin. Oh, I am Phoenix. And what do I have to say about Phoenix this evening? Rainbow Warrior is one of my passion projects and soul essences and missions here on the planet, to live by the Rainbow Warrior sort of motto and creed, to be an earth guardian. And in addition to that, I'm a vibrational healer and have been for over a decade. And in order to be a good vibrational healer, I had to also become a good businesswoman. And so combining the healing trades with business has become a big part of my journey and my story, and part of what I'm going to share with you here tonight: how to become a better business person so that you can get your healing, soul, spiritual, material gifts out into the world, whatever you're wanting to send into our collective space. We're going to talk about how you can do that, how you can become more refined in your business skill set, because business is a skill. It's something that you need to learn and develop, especially if you have money goals, expansion goals, impact goals. You gotta learn business, unfortunately. Fortunately, to be a well-rounded healer and spiritual practitioner. So we're going to kind of blend the two, and I'll let Venus introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Venus, and I too am a healer. I have a personal healing practice and a coaching practice, and I was actually raised by a very strong businessman, and a very strong spiritual healer woman. And so for a long time, I felt like these two pieces of myself like didn't go together. My parents separated and I had internalized that. And then through really embracing both sides of myself, going to business school, and then for entrepreneurship, and then starting my entrepreneurship practice through teaching yoga and meditation and retreats and events, I've really kind of remarried those versions of myself, those pieces of myself within myself. And so this is really near and dear to my heart, how to join spirituality and healing with business skills to create a life that I love. And I'm really lucky to be doing this with Phoenix. We've been working together for a couple of years now, and the pieces that she and I bring are unique and different and very complimentary. And I've learned so much from her and been able to step outside of my comfort zone with the things that she's teaching me. And I can speak for you, Phoenix, but I'm sure that it goes both ways. And so we're hoping to combine our expertise and share them with you here in this free offering as a gift from us to you, because we really do want to see the spiritual entrepreneurs in the world thrive and be the holders of the financial abundance, because I think those of us that are in these fields, we have a lot of big dreams and big plans of how we can heal the earth, and we need to be successful in our businesses to do that. So let's do it together.
Yeah. That's why I mentioned I have a 2-year-old in the house, so I'll help her with hands on her own, but we'll come screaming, sobbing, and she knows no boundaries. Hopefully you can bear with any extra sound that may happen. I'm very happy to have Soul Family visiting me.
Yes.
Yeah, Venus and I have been working together for a number of years, and we do have this complementary skill set. Venus brings a lot of really potent complementary energy, while also being pretty different in how she operates and the type of spaces that she holds. I definitely self-identify as a highly sensitive person, as an introvert, not necessarily as a people person. I both love people and loathe people. I feel very averse to them a lot of the time. So, and Venus is often at the center of pretty large events, kind of the queen of the gathering, facilitating, bringing people together, connecting. And so she adds that piece, which for me is a challenge, the in-person group dynamic. I can do small groups one-on-one, and I love that space. However, this is a place where we really complement each other. I'll be sharing about how I made it as a 6-figure business person, as an introvert and a highly sensitive person, working very uniquely, because I know that I tend to attract the sensitive ones, and more we're becoming more sensitive as a collective. And so this is just the beginning of the awakening of the senses, which will lead all of us to high sensitivity, extrasensory perception, and things of that nature. And we're bringing this free training to you as a precursor to Rainbow Warrior, which is a program that we have coming up, a shamanic facilitator training for healers, CEOs, wannabe healers, people who already have businesses in healing, people who want to develop them, where we're going to train people in modalities for healing and business. And it's a really phenomenal program. And so you're going to get a little taste of some of the elements that are a part of Rainbow Warrior here in the next 2 nights. And of course, our enrollment is open. And so if you feel called to inquire more or get to apply, you are really welcome to do so over the next couple of days. And we'll let you know how multiple times along the way. But let's get into the training. So I just facilitated a shamanic portal, which was a week-long modality training online for healers, teaching digital modalities. And this is not going to be that. We do have replays available for the shamanic portal, but this is really going to be focused more on business. Of course, we're going to weave in some of the esoteric and vibrational stuff because that's who we are. But this is really business crunchy fundamentals. However, I love to teach business your way, with your frequency and your rhythms and your personality my way is not a cookie cutter, repeatable process. There are things that you can repeat. And really, this process in Rainbow Warrior is about finding your way, taking the tools, techniques, practices, marketing strategies, and utilizing what really resonates with you and what really works for you, and kind of leaving the rest. So I like to give a bunch of options and then sort of troubleshoot what's going to work best for you and your business. So as you're hopping on here, if you have current challenges in your business, I would love to know what they are in the chats. What are you currently challenged by in your business? Because then I can talk specifically to you and those challenges. Because in reality, we're all on a healing journey. We're in a collective dark day of the soul. There's a lot purging and flipping upside down. And if you are in a healing process of any kind, so is your business. And this is about heal your business. So tell me what you're challenged by in your business so that I can include it in this conversation and we can get some band-aids on those wounds and some love sent into the ouchies and yeah, fix some things up a bit, spruce it up, shine it up. All of that jazz. What are you challenged by? Tell me in the comments. Yeah. I want to talk first about the six-figure spiritual business and my journey to get here. You know, my more sort of motto, my credo that I have lived by for the last couple of years is that I want to grow my impact while growing my income and having more spaciousness in my life to do what I want when I want, to take time off to heal if I need to go play and vacation if I need to, but to still be in my dharma and my soul work because I came here to work. I came here to experience pleasure. I think I'll get there at some point in time, the pleasure piece. But I definitely know that I had a specific mission and purpose and reason for incarnating. Yeah. And so, how do you scale to six figures as a healer? A lot of healers are broke, a lot of healers are struggling. I've been there. Like I've gone in and out of that multiple times. A lot of healers have the story that they ought to give away their services for free, and that they work with everyone, whoever needs them, right? And these types of things can be actually detrimental to the spiritual business growth. And I teach a formula called the M.A.G.I.C Way of doing business, because for me, maintaining individuality and magic as a part of your soul purpose is essential. I absolutely don't want to take the magic out of anyone. And sometimes business can do that because it is a structured sort of alpha masculine energy, at least it has been. And there's this emergence of new business models that have probably never been seen on the planet before. I mean, they really have never been seen because we're at a new technological age that hasn't existed here previously. So we have a lot more access to information than we used to. So the M.A.G.I.C Way in doing business is just kind of a step-by-step formula for orienting to a six-figure business model. And you won't be able to get there if any of these pieces are not in place, if they're out of place. And ideally, you know, when a system is operating at optimal operational standards, right, a lot of things are working together and they're working in balance. And so the idea is here that we want to be open, flowing, and balanced, you know, anchored into what we're up to, resourced. It's really going to help everything when you're resourced, or have people that you can resource with. I think more and more as we do this deeper collective trauma, relational healing, that it's important to have support on your team in your life, because we can no longer do the solo thing. We probably never could, but it's getting harder and harder to do it alone. So how do you have that team that supports you? I have Venus. I have a few other people too, but Venus and I go back and forth and we co-regulate. And sometimes our business meetings are actually emotional processes and we fit that in. It's an important part of how we're operating as Rainbow Warrior. We're not about take your emotions out of the equation. We're about how do we include them in what we're creating. So sometimes we're super emotionally charged. We can't get our work done, but the co-regulation, trauma healing process is the work in those moments. So we've been doing switching back and forth depending on what's present in the moment. So there has to be a balance between getting the work done, but also being with what is when it arises. And Venus and I are certainly finding our flow as we also operate differently within that space. We have some similarities and we have some differences, which is why we work together, but also where we might have conflict arise. We're
Mhm.
certainly not without interpersonal conflict. And we get through it. That's our core. So the magic way of doing business. I'm going to go over it quickly. Of course, if you want more, if you feel like learning it, you can always inquire about Rainbow Warrior. We're going to go really deep into it then. You're going to have hands, eyes, everything, awareness on your business in such a custom tailored way that you really ought not to be able to fail because of the amount of support that's available within Rainbow Warrior. So I'm just going to touch on all of the points, and you can tell me if any of these topics are out of balance for you. Are you cultivating them? Are you consistent? Are you strong or weak in these areas? Which ones need more work and more development? So the first one is monetizing your assets. It's like literally you have to create something that you monetize in order to have a business, whether it's a product or a program. You have to monetize something, especially if you're orienting to six figures. Maybe you have a beneficial benefactor who pays all of your bills. I certainly do not. So it comes down to actually owning your value. What do you value these pieces at? What are the pieces of your life and your experience that you can make money through doing? And specifically, what are those pieces that you love to do? Because anything that you love to do, that you're skillful at, right, that's going to be where the money is because you're the most excited, you have the most life force around them. Those are the things you want to do. So we want to include them, even if it doesn't seem like something that you've deeply trained in for a decade. Like for me, I really love partner dancing. So how do I include partner dancing into my offerings, even though I haven't trained as a facilitator of dance, but I love it so much. So
I
the
think it's
spiritual aspect,
I think it's also really important to include things that maybe, like you said, even if they don't fit or you're not trained in, but also if you don't even know if you can make money in them. This is a theme that I've been exploring a lot lately is what are the like unpaid skills that I do in my life because I love them that no one else can do quite like me. And so even just in this conversation, I have some kind of wheels turning where like decorating and creating spaces is something that I love to do. It's not something that I've woven into my business yet, but I had people come over last night and see my house. And one of them just bought a huge mansion. And she says, I want to have you come over and do this for my house. And so even those things that you love to do that you're not sure if you could even charge for them, those can be put on this list as well.
totally. Yeah. And so if you have a challenge in your business and you'd be willing to put it in the comments, we'd love to see what you're challenged by. And of course, as I talk about any of these topics and you're like, ooh, that one needs work, type it in the comments. We love engagement. We're here to engage with you and your business specifically. So let us do that. Let us know that you're here. Type in the comments. Venus and I have put some challenges in the comments. I
Yeah.
just put that for me, a challenge is crowds and being around a lot of people. I am so sensitive and I always have been. And also in the last 5 years of sobriety, my sensitivity has gone way up and not way down, especially the more chaotic the planet gets, the more I'm like, whoa, kind of overstimulated. And that can be a problem if I'm wanting to scale my business and my impact. That means I'm going to have to work with more people. Right. And so the I in magic is impact, and we'll get there. But for me, that's a problem. My love-hate relationship with humanity creates a weak spot in my business. And so I'll talk more of that when I get to the I impact. But yeah, put those challenges in the comments.
I can see Phoenix just from what we've posted, even more so how we complement each other because your challenge is being in crowds and around a lot of people. And that's actually my gift, is
It's
how to draw a crowd and create events and do in-person stuff. And my challenge is, how do I get myself seen by people who can afford my services, my higher end services, I should have put. And maybe more of my online presence would be the way to do that. Because at the events, that's like a really easy entry level price point. And so I love just seeing that in text and in writing, that our challenges are actually the other person's gifts.
yeah, totally. And I'm really good at making money working with a few people. I work typically less than 10 hours a week in session worker and program packages. And that for 10 hours is a lot for me. My ideal is probably 4 hours a week. And a lot of weeks I hit that. And so, yeah, I've sort of hacked how to make a lot of money working with only a few people because that works best for my energy system. And who would I be in my business if I could go out into the world, if I could have a lot of conversations, if I was interacting more in the interpersonal dynamic versus being like, get away from me. Like, I'll talk to you on the internet. Yeah. So monetizing. What are your assets? I will also email out a worksheet for you to go through in your own business in the next couple of days. The replays will be available via email, and this worksheet will come along so that you can sort of fill this out. We're not going to go deeply into it now, but you'll want to take some time to write out those assets, circle your top ones, and really begin to create an offering from that place of knowing what they are. So the A, align and attract. Like, are you aligned to your offering? Are you aligned to those assets? Are you aligned to your price points that you're choosing? Is it too low? Is it too high based on where you're at and what you're giving? Right? Alignment is it can be a huge wound. It can be a huge issue in your business. I know my first ever program was a relationship coaching program, and I think I was 26 when I started my business. And then I developed it all out. And then I was like, what am I doing? This is not A, what I'm excited about, B, what I'm super skillful at. We just talked about my relational pieces. I have to talk to people. Like, it was not it. I was so not aligned with it. So I had to scrap it and start over. And when I really focused on the healing work and maybe the psychic development, right? These were things that the programs would fill, and I'd get my handful of people that I wanted to work with. I like to work with 6 to 10 people. Venus does groups with 300 people. Like, her event coming up in Colorado is 300 people. I'm like, ah. So are you aligned to what you're offering?
And something I'd like to add is, sometimes things that feel really aligned can shift. I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of when I started teaching yoga. And that was when I started doing my events and my smaller groups. And then it turned into workshops and retreats and just grew from there. But quite honestly, like, teaching yoga for me is not super aligned anymore. I started to have some physical pain, and I've actually shifted to like different movement modalities. And so just giving yourself space, that just because something was aligned at one point and has worked for you as a way of making money, doesn't mean that that's your next embodiment, your next level of your embodiment. So keep that in mind as you're exploring these themes.
Totally. And we did an application call with somebody the other day, and she was like, I haven't started because I don't want to fail. And I was so there when I started my business. I wouldn't do it because I didn't want to fail. And truly, entrepreneurship to me now has become about failing over and over again and standing back up and trying again and being willing to learn from what didn't work and reorienting to something that's more aligned. It could be the timing, it could be the offering, it could be the price point, but really listening when those messages come in instead of stopping forever because you didn't fill your first program. Hardly anybody fills their first program. Trying again.
Yeah.
You're going to fail a lot in this industry. It is a part of the process. You might be the 1% that just rises from 0 to 1 million in a year, but most people are efforting. They're climbing up a ladder. They're flopping on their faces. It is a human experience. So
It's an experience and an experiment. Something that's really helped me is thinking about like the scientific process, which you can have whatever opinions you want about that, but it is a process that's been used for a long time because it can help point us to some truths. And the scientific process, if you're doing an experiment with everything you put out there, the only way that science works is not if you do something once and it works, that's not actually a science experiment. The only way to get the true data is to do something 10 times or many times and then see which one or two worked. And then the other ones that failed are just as important for helping you point yourself in the right direction. So I love thinking of when you said experience, it's like experience and experiment. And that helps me just be detached from, is this going to work? Yes or no? I have no idea, but it's all data that's a part of the experiment.
Consider it market research.
Yeah, yeah.
What did my community want? And that's another thing with Align is, are you offering something that is a need for your community, or is it something that you want to offer because you like it, right? But are you actually filling a need? And so tuning in, like doing some research online to figure out what that is. You can ask questions on social media, you can ask questions in person. And I will say that my first program teaching relationship, it didn't work at that time, but I teach about relationship all the time now, attachment wounding, trauma, erotic blueprints, things of that nature. And I just do it in a different context. And it eventually became aligned. It just wasn't then. So align and attract. And attract is about your messaging, right? If you, so we're like creating our offer, we're getting aligned to what we're offering, then we're creating messaging that speaks to the people that we want to work with. Because if you're not speaking directly to that person, it's going to get lost in translation. So many coaches are coming onto the market right now. It's like really important to shine in your own voice and essence and to know who you're talking to and what about. Like, what is the problem that you solve and the transformation that you offer? And how are you speaking about it? So attract is, how do you get people into your business? And then, G is going to be about, and then how do you get them to say yes to what you're offering? So aligning and attracting. Attracting is that getting shiny process. You can do your frequency work, you can become magnetic, but you are going to have to talk to people here. You are going to have to develop your communication skills because without them, you're not going to close the deal. So what is the message? I also like to say to a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, because we can be really wordy and airy, like I do this and then I can help with this and then I'm going to help make you whole. And people were, it's like, well, what is whole? Like, or what is self-love? Like, I don't know what that feels like. Can you tell me what self-love is? I'm like, eh. So here's where you need a really concise message that's short and succinct, where you can describe what you do really quickly without too much language. Because I don't know about you, again, but me with my people dynamics, I don't like to listen to somebody ramble on indefinitely. I don't. It has to be something that's really speaking to me. And if it's not speaking to me, I'm wandering off in my head instead of being really present. I've worked on this dynamic a lot, but and also being able to shift the conversation to something that is more aligned for me. So communication here.
Yeah,
How
it's
your
that
language.
getting your like elevator pitch down, right? And this is something that I think both Phoenix and I specialize in, from different perspectives, I'm sure, but with the people that we coach, is how can we get that clear and concise message, but still have it reflect all of your offerings? And you can get really creative in this. My first business in this industry was called Life in Perfect Balance. And that's because at the time I was teaching yoga, nannying, and teaching ski biking. And that was just the perfect business name that I could use for each one of those. And so you can get really fun and creative with this. And I just wanted to add that in because this is supposed to be fun. If you're choosing the path of entrepreneurship, hopefully it's because you love it, right? And it's fun for you to create business names and to play with words. And then yeah, maybe we need some support, maybe you need some support in certain areas, but at the heart of it, I hope that you're enjoying the process.
Mhm. And if your messaging isn't clear, you're not going to convert to sales. You're just not. Most people need healing in their business in this area
Mm.
because I just aren't speaking it clearly and not speaking it to the right people in the right way. So it's not grabbing people. So if you don't have enough clients in your business, it is because your messaging is off, most likely, or it's because you're not cultivating community in the way that you need to. We're going to get to see though. So your messaging, it's really important. This is attract. How are you getting people to look at you, feel you, sense you, and come closer to you? What is your way? You can be the Venus flytrap or, the feminine essence, which is just attractive. I'm going to stand here in the middle of my web and I'm going to lure you right to me. And then I'm going to eat you. You don't want to eat them, but you might, depending on what your offer is. I want to move on to G. I call G generate. This is how I generate sales, right? So we need the offering. We need the package product. What is it that we're offering? Are we aligned to it? Are we cultivating our frequency that's congruent to what it is that we're sharing and how we're sharing it? Are we communicating about it in the right way? Right? All of these things come before the actual sales process. You need something to sell. You need a clientele that you're focusing on. You need to be able to talk to them. So in Generate, we have this sacred sales, I call it invitation. I like to invite people to whatever it is that I'm doing. I never had a pushy sales process. It's not who I am. Of course, I've learned sales strategy. I think it's really important to learn it as a part of your business, different types. And again, here you get to really tune into what works for you and what's generating results in your business. But you need a sales process. You need a way to close people and bring them into your offering. And this is definitely a skill that needs developed. And it's not the easiest one for healers and spiritual entrepreneurs usually because we want to give, we just want to pray, and we want the people to come to us. And that's not necessarily how it works in business. You have to take action. You have to take aligned action. You have to put some of these foundational pieces into place step by step so that, again, you can get that yes in your business. So this is, in Rainbow Warrior, we kind of teach a slow sales process, a way of getting to know somebody at a deeper level and connecting in relationship and really trying to understand them, what they're about, where they're going, what they're challenged by before we ever make a pitch about an offering. A lot of people are coming to Rainbow Warrior. They already know what it is. They've heard us talking about it. They're filling out the application, right? And so when we have our application calls, we're just getting to know them, what they're struggling with, and offering support if they choose to say yes. We're not saying that we have the only answer or that they have to come with us right now because that's not our way. It's not the Rainbow Warrior way. It's simply like, hey, we have this thing. Here's when it starts. Here's how much the investment is. Here's how it can help you with all of these things that you said that you're challenged by. Do you want to do it? Lead yourself to it, right? We're all adults here. We know what's resonant. We know what's not. And so again, there's many ways to do sales and this process, and you get to tune into what's right with you. But we have multiple options in Rainbow Warrior, multiple ways to do sales. We have sales scripts and things of that nature that you can follow. Of course, I believe that, a script is just a tool to help you develop your mastery, but really sales is a flow art. You're really tuning into your person, you're tuning into their energy. You're actually tuning into whether or not you're aligned to work with them and help them, and if they're aligned to be your clients. And you don't have to say yes 100% of the time. It's actually really important that you don't. Like, who's really aligned? Who's really going to receive your transmission? Like, who's super coachable, right? These are important pieces. You don't want to take on anyone. I've made that mistake of taking on anyone. And it's come back to bite me in the ass over and over again in really big ways. So now it's like, here it is. It's amazing. We have so much fun when we do Rainbow Warrior. Do you want to come play? Like, do you want to come learn? Do you want to come transform the world with us and like have a team to do this Earth Guardian high level shamanic magic with? Yeah, I know I do. Gee. sacred
I'm
skills.
taking some little notes in the comments too, just so you know, if
Yeah.
you see me looking down, it feels nice to take some of these nuggets that you're sharing and put them in text so people can catch the high levels.
The Cliff Notes version. And again, there will be a worksheet, like a follow along workbook that you can dive deeper into some of these topics coming via email. And it's a lot of fun and it's really beautiful. I recommend checking it out. Impact. We all came here because we want to make a difference. We all have our own businesses because we want to make a difference. We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't want to make a difference. So how do we make a difference in a big way? You know, again, when we're working alone, when we don't have coaching, we're at a certain level of impact. It's like what is aligned for you in your expansion? Again, for me, it's not necessarily aligned to set a goal to work in front of thousands of people. I used to think that I wanted to be that public speaker like Tony Robbins, and I was just like, after I listened to Matt Kahn talk about how exhausting it is and how he can get up, do one talk, and then has to spend a week recovering, I was like, yeah, I don't know that that's actually for me. That's not exciting. I don't know that I want all of that fame and energy on me and the energetic hooks that come from it, and or the paparazzi following me around, invading every single aspect of my private life. Like, I don't want that. Do I want to make an impact? Yeah. Do I want to do it that way? Not so much. The way that I like to do it with my energy, again, Venus is going to be different. I like to work at a really high level with a small number of people that have their own sphere of influence, and then they go. And even if they're changing the lives of 10 people, right, those people are changing each 10 people's more alive. And this is sort of spiderweb effect that just expands outward versus me, one person, like impacting 1,000 in a little way, or maybe a big way, depending on how skillful my public speaking is. Um, Right. I like to make that ripple effect change because I get to be at the center of my web. I don't have to be at the center of a crowd. I just get to be at the center of my web. And I have the people that are connected to my web, to my sphere, and they're going out and changing the world in their ways based on what they've learned from me or some codes that they've received. And it ripples out, right? I love that. I am not meant to speak in front of huge crowds. It sounds horrible to me right now. And of course, my alignment could change. It could change. So, impact. How are you growing your business in a way that's supportive to your rhythm, flow, and your lifestyle? Maybe you have a big family and you want to spend a lot of time with them, and it doesn't serve you to be working all the time. Because for a lot of people, growing their impact means having to work more. And for a lot of people, it doesn't, right? The true, like, I think when you hack it, when you're earning 6 and 7 figures and only working a couple days of the week or month. There's a lot of people who have gotten there. So I recommend that path. But of course, this is all about you and what works for you. So in impact, it's in Rainbow Warrior, we're tuning into how do we help you grow in a way that's sustainable, organic, and aligned with you and your frequency and your way of operation and your sensitivity or your extrovertedness. Um, what's your way? What's your way to grow? Yeah. And then the last one, C, right? Probably should come before the M, really, because the C is community.
Mm.
You cannot have a business without community, without people to buy your products, to participate in your offerings. It does not work. People equal sales. So if you're like me and you're challenged by community people, right? We have to come in and heal this aspect of your business. How are you, or how can you engage in community again in a way that's aligned, that's not depleting, that's actually resourcing, that's enabling you to have conversations and get in front of people, that's also giving. I've learned a lot. And when we focus about money, in my opinion, the business can grow at a certain level. But when you actually focus on devotion, the growth is exponential because devotion has a totally different vibrational frequency. So, are you devoted to what you do and why you're here on the planet? Is that coming across clearly in how you're talking about it or how you're operating and walking in the world? When I chose devotion over money, oh my goodness, right? The depth of connection, the quality of the people who were showing up, the income increase. And sometimes devotion means not making any money. Sometimes devotion means you are giving from your soul because this is where the healer that needs to give comes in because you're meant to give to that person because God whispers in your ear and is like, hey, you need to put your healing hands on them right now and don't ask for anything because that's devotion. Like, go do it because you can and because I'm asking you to. Spirit is asking you to. And I find that even if devotion doesn't have a linear dollar amount attached to it, there's this cyclical nature. When I give in that way from devotion from my heart because I can, because somebody is in need, the money comes. It sometimes comes flooding versus if we don't give to that person because they don't have enough money, right? If they don't have enough money for your high level offering, make them an offer about something else.
If
Chop
you
your,
feel like they're a yes, right?
if you feel like working with them, if you're feeling called to work with them, you can chop up that offer. You can offer them a one off session. You can ask somebody to give them a scholarship, right? There's so many ways to flow within this industry and business. So, but community is really important. You need to nurture your community. Sometimes it takes 10 years of nurturing somebody to get them to say yes to something that you have to offer. But when they say yes, they're so ready and they've been watching you and tracking you and they're ready. And sometimes it takes them 10 years to be ready. But because you've been there nurturing your community, they have access to you. They've seen you. They now trust you enough to spend 15, 20, $50,000 on whatever it is that you're sharing. And maybe you needed 10 years to get ready for them. Really. So we're always refining and growing. But community, you need to talk to people. And whatever way supports your energy. The way that I do this is online a lot of the time. I'm queen of going to an in-person event, finding the one person I can talk to about aliens and healing with, spending an hour with them. Then they'll be like, hey, I was actually, most of the time they're like, hey, I was actually really looking for a coach or some healing support. Can I book a session with you? And this has happened time and time again where I would like to talk to one person about something that I'm interested in. And when I do that, we're hooked. We're like bonded for life. And so, a business transaction, I don't know if I want to use that language, but I'm going to, can happen anywhere, anytime. But you need to open your mouth and you need to be energetically available and be talking about who you are and what you offer in order for them to know. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And I love that with this C, the community, it can be in person or online. And most likely it's a hybrid, but just giving that breadth that we can build community in ways that weren't maybe available 10 years ago. And so for people who are highly sensitive people, you can take your time with the one-on-one in-person connections, but spread your web much wider with your online presence. Or for someone like me, I've noticed that I tend to spread my web much wider with my in-person events and using the online space to go deeper. So again, I just love that. The two sides of the coin that are available to all of us.
Well, for me, almost more
I'm I don't know if anybody else is having a hard time hearing you, but you kind of went away for a second. That's better.
Okay. Yeah, my headphone kept spinning out. What I was saying is when I go out, almost every time somebody says to me, I watched your video. Oh my gosh, that post was amazing, right? They're watching me and they will reflect it to me in person a lot of the time. So that's part of why I keep doing what I'm doing because something is working and something is or landing in people, even if I'm not, the center of a big group dynamic ever. really thrive in the one-on-one space. So let me thrive there. But yeah, people are watching.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about, just spend a couple minutes talking about the online marketing piece. So, but I just wanted to spell out magic for you. Again, we go way deeper in Rainbow Warrior. We teach you how to do community events, both online and in person through Rainbow Warrior. So we have both factions. Rainbow Warrior is hands, eyes, ears on your business, through both group support and one-on-one support. So Rainbow Warrior is a hybrid program where both of those dynamics are present, because I like to have one-on-one support, and there's so much benefit from being in a group and doing rituals and practices and having the support of a group. No, that's the magic way of doing business, right? It's very structured, however, has so much flow inside of it. So we're working with your unique brilliance to let it shine and radiate out into the world. And so, for the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, I'll talk about online marketing, particularly as an HSP, because that's me. I work with a lot of introverts and highly sensitive people who are very unique in their neurodivergent brains. And it's because I know how to talk to them. Those are people I know how to talk to, because we're all awkward and very sensitive and very aware. And that's a language I know how to speak. I know how to speak awkweirdo very well. I'm very fluent in awkward. And I like that, because we're unique. Life is not smooth, especially not these days. It's a choppy roller coaster, swirly wave type of ride right now. And so if you're like smoothly sailing through it, I mean, tell me how you're doing that. But I don't think the rest of us really are. It's sort of this bumbling experience. Of course, when we knock through a level or into a dimensional flow state, it's amazing, but it usually doesn't last forever. We go back to our training wheels and our stumbling, and that's actually more of a shared human experience than the flowing through near flows. A lot of us connect on our pain and our discomfort and the challenges of Earth. Most people that I ask have experienced more challenge on the planet than they've actually experienced flow, ease, bliss. And so again, let me know if you're different than that. But if you've experienced more challenge than ease, I'd also love to know. I would also love to know about that. For me, life has been very challenging. It's been quite like an initiation journey. It has not been fluid. I've had flow moments. I've had a flow year, but it was just 1 year before the stumbling reemerged. So I just want to really normalize going through it. And even if you're going through it, you can still be a phenomenal leader. And sometimes, usually actually, the going through it cultivates your leadership. And so if you wait till you're done going through it to lead, right, you're always going to be going through something. It's going to be bigger or lesser or easier or more challenging, but you're always going to be going through it. Some new layer of material. Yeah. So online marketing. Again, this is a really big topic that I'm just going to brush up against, but I've touched on many pieces. Mostly I'm an introvert. I'm very sensitive. When I do a large event, the largest event that I've done online was 400 people. At the end of each session every day, people were hooked into me. My energy was drained. I had all these sweet little parasitic human threads, because I was making my energy available. And because that's what we do. Like, even if you're looking at me now, right, there's a piercing through, a connection to the energy, right? And if 400 people are doing this, you can create all these energetic leaks. And so, being mindful of how you're putting your energy out into the online space, especially because the online space is no longer, it's not ours, right? It's very controlled, it's very censored, it's very manipulated. And when we put ourselves into it, we're taking a risk. We're taking many risks. Doesn't mean we shouldn't do it, right? Because also we need to pump light into the interwebs. We need to create that change. But it's an energetic dynamic that we have to navigate. So when you're putting something out, right, you can go through at the end of the day and you can cut those energetic cords. You can practice invisibility if you're not wanting to be seen by certain organizations. I could teach you invisibility. I think it's a lot of fun for certain purposes. And yeah, it's just really important that we're mindful also of how we're hooking into other people. Again, I've started to say to people, and I'm not perfect at this, like, are you just scrolling through, looking at everything without engaging, or are you actually letting somebody know that you're there? Like, hi, I'm here, I'm watching, I just tapped into your energy. Thanks for sharing it with me. Because when we're just watching, scrolling without saying anything, for me, it's becoming kind of creepy. Um, it's like let me know that you're there. Let me know that you're tuning in. It also supports me to know. Um, you feel it when you're walking down the street and somebody's looking at you from a quarter mile away and they've just sort of pierced onto your field or body or breasts or whatever it is, right? You feel that. We're still feeling it on the interweb. We're just not talking about it. So, what do I want to say about the online marketing space? It's changing all the time. The algorithm is constantly evolving. The AI technology is taking over. It's very intelligent, it's very smart, it's very tuned into every single thing that we click on and how many seconds we're spending looking at something. It's really cool in that way that it's going to show you what you need right on your screen because they're actually listening. You might talk about, I was, a story recently, these men were at a men's circle and they were talking about this duster piece of clothing that my partner lost. And the next day, all of those men pretty much had that duster showing up on their Facebook threads. All of a sudden it was there. And that was from a conversation that they were having in private because our phones are turned on and the AI technology is actually listening. I'm going off a way different tangent than online marketing, but I'm wanting people to really be aware of some of these dynamics. And it's really cool when I'm like, hey, I would like a new piece of organic hemp clothing. And then all of the ads are for organic hemp clothing. Like that's a really beautiful feature, but it means that they're tracking me. And people are going to be tracking you online and they're going to be interacting with your energy in different ways. Some people are going to be mean, really mean. Some people are going to love you and be your biggest fan. I love those people. I'll take way more of them. Usually, if somebody's mad at me online, I feel like I'm doing something right, like touched a button. and realistically, as a highly sensitive person, when people are being mean to you online, it lands, it cuts, it hurts, and it's another energetic construct to have to work through. And so these are just, they're part of the business. They're things that we can work with energetically in our frequency field, right? When my frequency's really good and shiny and strong, I might not get trolls. But sometimes when it's really shiny and strong, I'm going to get that one person who just wants to slice me down because that's the way the world is working right now. Because the light is scary to a lot of people who aren't able to access or cultivate their own frequency like that. So ideally, we were all loving and supporting and being like, oh, yeah, you like touched on a new dimensional experience. Like, you go, girl. But there's forces out there that don't want us to go. There just are. And again, part of the brilliance of the group dynamic is we get to face these energies together and we get to learn how to navigate them through the vibrational and astral realms because they do exist. And that's my little tangent about the deep sea controlling the media.
And
What do you think?
you can use it to your advantage. I'll likely touch on this a little bit tomorrow. The events that I've been doing have been growing organically for a number of years, so I haven't actually had to purchase Facebook ads, and I'm sure that things have changed since the last time I did. But there was a time where I was using Facebook ads and I was specifically targeting people who liked certain other local businesses because I thought, oh, if they like them, they'll like this event. And at the time, I was doing sound healings every new moon and full moon. And I was getting about 30 people per event. You know, they were a lot smaller, but I was getting 3 to 10 new people that didn't know who I was, from Facebook ads. And so it does go both ways. And I just want to share that. And that is kind of like one of those spiritual truths that I think is helpful to remember always, is like the thing that bugs us in whatever way, maybe it bugs us about ourselves or bugs us about our partner, bugs us about the internet, is often like, if we can integrate it, is actually the superpower. I just want to
Totally.
give us some hope there, that there's some hope for
Why we work together, balancing the dark with the light, the yin yang. I went on a tangent of darkness because, quite frankly, in the last year and a half, I've experienced so much darkness online, and it's been kind of excruciating. And so I just want to like bring it into the light that it might happen and it's actually likely to happen and we can get through it. There's ways to navigate it. And sometimes it just hurts. And you have to keep going anyway because it's what you're here for. We are here to be lights in the darkness. Some of us are here to be dark in the light. That's not necessarily my mission, but somebody has that mission and purpose. And we need to coexist with them. We need to find our way. The yin yang, like it's the perfect image of the light and dark forces on the planet. And it's real. It's a very real depiction of how duality works.
Mm,
Online marketing,
yes.
algorithm. And then I went on to the deep seat. But I want to touch back on the algorithm. Algorithm gets boosted the more engagement you create. The way Facebook is working right now, if you create engagement on Facebook, they will keep boosting you so that you are seen more. If you are not creating engagement and you're watching, you're lurking, and you're not commenting, and people are not commenting on your stuff, you're going to get lost. That's why you're not getting engagement on your post. Even if you get a lot of engagement, but you go offline for a week, you lose it. That's the way Facebook is working right now. They want you to get people to engage inside Facebook. They want you to have a group because people are clicking in groups. They're staying in a group a lot longer than any other section on Facebook. And you will get rewarded by Facebook for cultivating those types of experiences and engagement. So consistency here becomes really important. Having a group becomes really important. Putting on these live events and asking for engagement becomes really important. And actually engaging with people that you like, that you believe in, that are giving you value, it's really important for them and their business that you do that. It's really kind. So again, if you're just watching but you're not saying anything, it's actually at a cost, potentially, not always. To the person that you're watching, just say hi. Right now you have to type 3 words in order for them to be boosted in the algorithm. So if you're just saying hi, it's not quite going to be the same boost as hi, I'm here, right? This is just how it's working right now. So I'm giving you little hacks with the online space. Hi, I'm here. You're doing awesome, right? 3 words or more is going to bump them up. It's going to bump you up. Sometimes I just straight up ask for that online. I want you to comment on this post with 3 or more words, and people will do it a lot of the time if they're actually reading. Not a lot of people are actually reading. They're scrolling. And it can be a really cool, easy, quick way to support people that we believe in. 3 words. It takes 5 to 10 seconds to type 3 words and hit send. So, and again, if you're wanting to boost your algorithm, you need to cultivate engagement. That means posting engaging content. It can be as simple as a question, right? Where are my healers at? Tell me where you're at with 3 words. We're really asking for that type of engagement. Or it can be creating these videos or trainings, things of that nature, to just, again, especially if you're working in Facebook, to keep people inside the system, because that's how Facebook makes money. Facebook wants you to support its business. And we are doing that by using it, by scrolling, by commenting, by shopping, right? There's a reason why Facebook is a multi-million, multi-billion, I don't know how much they're at right now, business, because they've mastered this engagement dynamic. So that's what you really want to cultivate online. And that's how you really want to participate. I love to be engaged with. I'm not making these videos to hear myself talk. I'm not. I'm doing it because I want to share and because I care. and because I've learned something that I feel is valuable and important. And sometimes I want to talk. And this is my way to be heard and to share my expression and to be felt. And that's also true. It's not without that.
Something that I love that you do, Phoenix, when you make your posts is you often tell them as a story in this first person storyteller dynamic. And that's really engaging for me to want to engage with you. And I really feel you behind the post. That's something that I'd like to be better at. I tend to post like, hey, I'm doing this event on Saturday. You should come, right? And so, yeah, I just want to like throw that out there too as something that if you, one of you out in the audience, is wanting to create more engagement, as more of a consumer of the content from Phoenix, who is an expert in this area, those are the posts that I get the most excited when I'm like, I can see that you wrote a lot. I'm like, oh, I'm going to settle in and read this one, so that seems to work for me.
Yeah, that brings up like a couple of topics to touch on. One is that storytelling is a marketing strategy, especially like the more vulnerable, the better. You'll notice that people really like to connect over sad stories. They have the most comments or something that's really personable. I lead with vulnerability online. I get reamed for it from time to time where people are like, why are you sharing that? And I cannot help it. It is who I am. And it's also a business strategy that I've learned. Storytelling fosters community. It does. People can feel you. They're understanding. A lot of people are like, I don't need to know. Like, I feel like I've been following you online, so I already know what you're up to because I share that much. I really do. It's fun for me. Like, Facebook ought to be a diary that you look back on in 5 years and you see all these cool posts popping up that you're like, oh my gosh, I did that, right? Treat it like a diary where you're sharing the aspects of your life that are important to you and let the world see it, at least as a business strategy, right? On that note, in order to create engagement, want to have a call to action at the end of your post. Maybe not 100% of your posts. Sometimes just share a story because that is building relationship. And let's say 80% of the time, have a call to action. Click here, do this, follow me, engage with this post, right? Have that call to action so people know how to participate with you. And you're cultivating the engagement at the same time, right? People might not respond. I'm bummed that people actually respond the least on offers when I feel like if we're really loving and supporting one another, those are the posts that we should be commenting on the most. So they get boosted because that's actual support.
Mm.
I don't feel that supported when somebody's sharing their opinion on my sob story or my broken heart. I felt really supported when somebody comments on a Rainbow Warrior feature. They're like, hell yes, this looks amazing. Like, that's how I feel supported online. So, call to action. Hi, Falana. I love it when Falana engages. I have some people in my online space that are really engaged, and I love them. And I give them free stuff all the time because I see that they're engaging. I love to reward that engagement. I want to give to them because they're giving so much through me. It is so supportive to have that interaction online. Again, as a sensitive introvert, I still love connection. I need connection. And so when there's quality connection available online where I can sit in my house and still feel the love through the meta, right? That's really valuable to me. And Falana has been on, in my online space for a long time, and we see each other in person, and we have it's in both worlds, this support. So just, shout out to you, sister. Hi. Come join Rainbow Warrior. I'm so ready for you. Yeah, you'd be perfect. You'll get there. Or not. You don't have to. I'm not pushing you, but I would love to have you.
You were talking about a call to action, and I pulled a post that I had made yesterday because this is something that I've been trying to get better at. I'm more of the in-person person and trying to get better at the online stuff. And I thought, wow, what did I do when I made that post yesterday? And it was for an event. And I realized that a lot of times when I post my events, I'll even say, you can get your tickets here, or tickets are available here. And in the post I made yesterday, I said, make sure to get your ticket before the price increases. Apply to volunteer if the cost is prohibitive. Book that plane ticket. We want you there. And I was kind of like patting myself on the back about that, because there are people who are flying in this for this event, and maybe they literally needed a reminder that says book the plane ticket now, right? And so there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. It doesn't always have to be, if you want more information, here's a link. It can be really specific, and you can have a specific person in mind when you make the post. I'm imagining my friend Lila, and I'm like, girl, you better book that plane ticket. And that, I think that that's a really fun way of creating engagement when you do the call to action, is thinking of someone specific that you are sending it to, and on an energetic level that can create some fun magic too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And yeah, with the call to actions, don't give them too many. We're learning, Venus and I, and specifically me recently, that when people have too many options, they don't do anything. So give
Mm.
them one option, one way to engage, maybe two, but in your post, really like have one call to action on each one, and then you can make another post with another call to action, but don't give them so many options,
Mm.
because that actually will overwhelm the human brain. It's like, ah. So we're learning to simplify in how we're offering and how we're sharing. It's like, but yeah, many ways to engage. Venus does storytelling a lot in her stories. She'll get on and have a conversation and share something that happened, and it's really fun and beautiful. And I'm a phenomenal writer, so I love to just write. I will get on videos when it feels relevant, and I do that a lot now. And like, I like to write. I always have. This is my creative outlet. My business for me is very creative. It's very artsy. I don't necessarily like paint on canvas, but it's such an art for me to be able to weave in these ways and cultivate these things and design a graphic or share some piece of writing on some topic that people are really digging. So my creative adventure.
Yeah. Something else to think about in terms of storytelling and stories and consistency and art is, what happens when you do want to take a break and you want to take time off? Like, how do you keep the flow going in those instances? And one of the tools that I have is, there you can use schedulers when you're doing online marketing, and there are some out there that will even post your stories for you when you're away. So I kind of like to think of it as like a no excuses, um, because there really are ways for you to stay connected, even if you're choosing to disconnect. You don't have to stay connected all the time. But if this is your art and this is your business, you can take a day and create some posts in advance before you go on that trip. And there are ways to do it in ways that still feel really nourishing. And it's kind of fun to see all of the posts that you're creating on the grid before they go on the grid, too. So that's stuff we can go over. More one-on-one as we're working with you guys, helping you figure out which services are going to be best suited to you. But I did want to throw that out there because that was something that really helped me, because as much as it seems like I'm posting a lot online, I like to go offline a lot too. And so you can do both.
You can do both. I go offline for big chunks of time if I'm in a deep healing process or traveling into the jungles of Costa Rica where the internet doesn't work great. And I actually need that. I need this feminine stop time. I actually schedule it into my calendar year. Venus and I keep trying to make Rainbow Warrior happen in December, and it just like doesn't work with the flow. So we finally learned that we don't do that. Um, because yeah, in the winter time, I'm a bear. I'm a bear on a beach. I don't go into a cave. I'm a bear on a beach. But
It's okay. I'm a mountain mermaid, so
yeah. Yeah, and really business is about your natural rhythm. Some people work really well at night. I'm done at 5 p.m. I do not work past then. I mean, I am right now, technically, because I love to teach. I will teach at any time. But for the most part, like any online thing, any appointments, things of that nature, I rarely do past 5 because I know that my hours are between 11 and 5, and that's when my energy is the best. And that's after I've done my morning practice and I've taken care of myself and I've scheduled in that time. And I also know that I slow way down in the winter because I hibernate. I'm a bear on a beach. So I need some sunshine and some sand and rest. And when I do that and I take that time, usually in the spring, I make so much money. It seems counterintuitive that I'm not working, but then yeah, it just flows in the springtime when my energy turns on. So I've had these cycles for a couple of years. And of course, as healers, it becomes even more important to take that time. Again, we're not super effective when we're extremely dysregulated. And this can be a tough pill to swallow of like actually choosing to take the time to regulate your nervous system and heal rather than work can feel risky and dangerous and stressful and like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? But you're going to have more of a challenge paying them over the long term the longer you stay dysregulated. So like take that week, take that month, take care of your nervous system, like unplug from online and do self-care so that you can be more of an effective leader. It's really important. And not always easy for the doers of our world to take that time. We feel like we have to do to survive, and a lot of people do. But Ramble Warrior is about creating a structure where you are cultivating an abundance of money so that when you need to take that time, you have the money to be able to pause and rest. Ideally, you would have the money because you're setting up a business model that is able to flow on certain cycles. And you're charging enough for your services that you can cover a low month of expenses or a medical emergency, things of that nature, because we're orienting our businesses in that way to be able to do so. Yeah, yeah. I'm curious if anybody has any questions about online marketing. You can type them into the comments. Or how is this feeling so far? I've been giving a lot of information. So I like to just pause here, and if you have anything to share, or if you just share what's moving inside of you, that would be really great. So we can take a temperature. I don't have much more for you. We don't have much more for you, but
Yeah, it'll be good to hear from you guys.
mm,
Yeah, Phoenix, thank you so much for sharing your magic.
mm, yeah, yeah. I was excited to just weave this together because yeah, Venus and I, when we're together, there's something that happens that it's just how would I even describe it? I mean, like it's a resonance that occurs, this like sparkle when we can feed off of each other and also relate together, and her style of communicating and my style of communicating. There's a lot of complementary pieces that, yeah, they create a sparkle. That's the best way I have. It sparkles.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really nice.
Yeah. Thanks, Teresa, for letting us know some things that are moving, some things that are alive. Yeah, pre-batching content. Have a content Monday, write it all down, create it, and then schedule it.
Yeah, batching content.
Mm. And you can still, if you feel something that's alive and pulsing, share it in the moment. Something cool is happening, share it.
I took a big chunk of time off, and I was so worried about money, just because I'm not used to taking time off. I've been working for money since I was 12 years old and probably even younger. But I did take some time off, and that included not like I wasn't promoting my services, and I wasn't really seeing clients, and like I wasn't really like posting stuff online. But I decided that I wanted to pick every single dandelion in my backyard by hand and put them on trays and dry them and make dandelion vinegar. And so I had this beautiful art piece in my house of all of these yellow flowers drying. So I posted a picture of that, and one of my past clients, students, friends, she sent me a message and she said, thank you. She said, thank you for posting the picture of the flowers. It was nice to feel you. She said, Spirit whispered in my ear that I should pay my rent and give you the rest of what was in my account. And she did. It was like, whatever, under $100, but it was like she kind of like tipped me for taking the time for myself to just stop and pick the flowers. And I love to tell that story because the way she said it was nice to feel you, not nice to see me. Because I could have been online just promoting myself and book a session and this and that, but it was different than like feeling me in my backyard picking flowers. And that was the energy that she wanted to connect with. So I love that story, is just how fruitful self-care can be. Actually, I want to share one more. I came down one day, I was living with an old roommate of mine, and I said, I really don't want to work today, but I need to make a little bit of money and it'd be good if I booked a session, but kind of just want to like go be in nature and go on a walk and chill. She's like, me too. And so we went on a walk and probably spent an hour and a half walking and smelling the flowers. I lived in a part of town where they have these amazing irises that pop up in the spring, and they all have different smells, like a jelly belly, jelly bean assortment. We stopped and smelled every flower. And on our way home, there was a piece of paper folded up in the middle of the road. I said, wouldn't that be funny if there was money in there? And we walked over to it, and it was like $200 cash. And we each took 100, and that's what we got paid for that day on our walk, because we decided to take care of ourselves. So there's magic in those moments too.
There is magic in those moments. Yeah. Yeah. One more piece in the online marketing space to touch on is that people need to know that you have a business and an offering, right? If you're only sharing personal stories online, people aren't going to know. When I go to your Facebook page or your Instagram, I need to see that you have a business, that you're offering, that you're talking about it, right? Sometimes I can scroll down for a long time and I don't see anything. And I was this way for a while too, where I just talk about the personal stories and I wasn't actually sharing about my offers. And people can't sign up for an offer if they don't know you have it. So make sure that you're plugging your business online. Again, it shouldn't be all the time. I like to sort of break it down like one full post about an offering. So it might have all the details of the offering. A hard offer is how I refer to those. And then I might have two more posts in the week that are a soft offer. And if I'm doing a free event online, I'm sharing about it every day. I'm like, this is free. Why wouldn't you come? It's free. And I don't mind like blasting that over and over again. But when it comes to a big offer, I might share 3 times in a week. And I have related content. I might hop on and do a Facebook Live series, be like, hey, like, check this out. I really shifted on Facebook to make it about business and less about personal interactions because this is a tool that I'm using for my impact. And so I've just changed the way that I operate in the online space. I want people in my friends group that are aligned with my business offerings, and I will go and I will specifically choose them. And I will specifically start conversations with them. I look at their page, I see that they're talking a certain language, maybe their business is similar or complementary, and I request them because you can make Facebook whatever it is that you want to. I don't necessarily want like people who I met at a bar 20 years ago having access to my energy that aren't engaging, that aren't in business, right? I don't necessarily want that energy on my Facebook anymore. So I've begun to make it really custom. And I've shed a lot and I've added new energy. And throughout, if you're using business as or Facebook as a business tool, you're going to want to cycle the energy up. We want to shed the old energy, the misaligned energy, the online trolls. We don't want those in our space. And add in fresh energy because this is how you're going to grow your impact too. You need to be adding fresh energy to your social media as much as possible. The recommendation for me by my coaches is adding 50 new people a day. That's a big number for me to just like but I might try and hit anywhere from 10 to 50, depending on the day and what I have time for. And it's so easy now because Facebook will suggest people to you. And they suggest people to you based on the language that you're using and whose profiles you're looking at. So if you start to look at healers online, Face is going to suggest more and more healers and 5D star people and Arcturian channelers, whatever it is. This is my Facebook feed, obviously, um, because of the AI technology. And so this is where we get to use it to our advantage. So you go on to suggested friends, and there's 10 people Facebook has suggested that are in your potential business market. So friend request them, have a conversation. This is another thing. In order for them to see you in their algorithm, you have to send them a private message. Again, engagement. So if you send a private message, and you're like, I don't do anything about business. There's this whole private message sales thing that's happening now that doesn't resonate with me, even though it is a marketing tool that works, which is why so many people are doing it. I'm sure you've been targeted in that way. I will send a personal message of connection. And I often even say, I'd love to see more of you in my algorithm. So I'm sending this message so that you pop up. I'll just be honest. If I really like their stuff, I will do that. So send them a private message because again, it's going to boost the algorithm and that's what we want. Engagement. Facebook wants engagement. You want engagement. I want engagement. So, but you have to do that through private message. If you just add them as a friend and don't engage in any way, either on their page or through the messaging, they get lost and you get lost from them. So another Facebook hack.
That's a good tip. Thank you.
Yeah. I got 5 million in here. I just have to organize them appropriately or let them cycle through. Venus, you said a couple things and I'm like, oh yeah, that point. And oh yeah, that point. Cool. Well, if you have questions, type them. If you're liking this, let us know. And I'm going to pass it over Venus to do our esoteric practice of the day and close us out. Thank you so much for hopping on live. For those of you catching the replay, you can just hashtag replay. I should have said that 5 hours ago, but saying it now. And again, you can look out for an email with the replays and the workbook coming soon.
Thank you, Phoenix. I was cruising through some of these comments, and Teresa's big takeaway for me was making your offerings your devotion. What are you devoted to? That's a great question. And I just think that is such a key point of like, if you're devoting to your business as an art piece, as your life's work in this moment, then it gets to be fun. And beyond fun, when I think of devotion, I think of like, it's like a spiritual experience when you're devoted to something and you're showing up. There's a phrase that I learned. I've been teaching yoga at an intensive outpatient mental health facility for 7 years. And it's a really like restorative, more meditative style of yoga. But that like devotion and showing up, and one of the phrases that they talk about is something called like mood independent behavior. And that is about showing up, when we have a job, a 9-to-5 job, we're going to show up even if we're having an off day. We're going to show up, maybe not every time, but sometimes maybe a little tired or this or that. And when I did have a 9-to-5 job, I noticed that I might show up in an off day, or I might show up a little bit tired, but oftentimes just the act of engaging will change my mood. And so how can you show up to your business with this kind of mood independent behavior? And how can it be in devotion to your community and devotion to your followers? And it's very likely that they will feel empowered by seeing you in your truth. I'm showing up to this call today with no makeup on, which is something that at a certain point in my life I would never have done because I thought I needed a certain look. There was a time when I wouldn't post a story, even if I was doing something awesome that I wanted the world to know about, because I didn't feel like I looked quite right. And when I shifted into that devotion practice of being devoted to my community and to my offerings, I got a lot of really good feedback from people just about really appreciating seeing the full spectrum of my humanity. And I'm sure that you guys have felt that too from online leaders when they show up in devotion to their business as a practice, you can really feel that. So thanks for sharing that, Teresa. I wanted to kind of play off of that and kind of weave that into our meditation and our practice here. So I'll be guiding us through a short meditation, visualization, and the only thing that you have to do is to breathe and receive and see what is flowing to you and through you through this. So find a comfortable seat if you're not already seated, if you're walking around doing stuff, listening to the audio. Just take a minute for yourself, sit down, settle in, and close your eyes. Start to take some nice deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowing down your breath, slowing down your heart rate. Slow down your thoughts. Couple more slow, deep breaths here. And begin to visualize your business or your budding business as a being outside of yourself. Maybe it's a ball of light. Maybe it takes a human form. But just start to see it as something that is outside of you. Can you see its totality, its strengths, and its weaknesses? Where your business is confident and where it might feel a little bit more shy. Can you see the triumphs and the traumas? Can you feel a physical reaction that you have in your body when looking at your business outside of yourself? Ideally, there's feelings of love and compassion, understanding, excitement, but there might be disappointment or fear. And just notice where you stand in relationship to your business exactly as it is, the fruits and the flaws. What feeling does that conjure within you? And in this offering today, it's called Heal Your Business. So I'll be guiding us through a Ho'oponopono practice from you to your business as it stands outside of you. And I'll guide you through 4 different phrases. And after each one, just in your mind and in your heart, add a sentence to it so that you can really start to feel this healing of the relationship between you and your business. I always like to start with, I'm sorry. So if you haven't yet, just repeat, I'm sorry in your mind, and then just a sentence or two. This next phrase, say it in your heart and in your mind, and follow with a sentence that is true to you in relationship to your business. Please forgive me. With that same formula, following with a heartfelt phrase, thank you. And followed by your own heartfelt words from you to your business. I love you. And visualize your business receiving those words. Notice how, as an entity outside of yourself, how has the energy of your business shifted, lightened, brightened, changed? Just notice. And then allow that energy to come back into you, to come back into your heart and your mind, your tapping, typing fingers, feeling so seen and so held, so supported, so loved and healed. When you're ready, place your hands on your heart, sealing it in, and you can bow your head in gratitude, smile, and flutter your eyes open and gaze up. That was the first time that I've done that specific practice on my business, and I'm really moved by the words that came through and how much healing I received just saying them in my mind, because really it's like a part of me. My business is a part of me that I put outside of myself. And so as that healing was happening, I was really feeling myself healed. It was like, I'm sorry for hiding you away. It's like, please forgive me for thinking you're not good enough. Thank you for showing up to support me financially in all my hopes and dreams coming true. Like, I love you in your unique, weird expression. And it was like, I'm speaking to my business, but it was like inner child work too. So thank you guys for doing that with me. That was really special.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the amends that I needed to make and getting to feel and sense them really clearly of like, oh yeah, I did do that.
Mhm.
And also how much I just like adored my business. I have this 2-year-old here and it was kind of like how I am with her. Like I just love you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to hear if any of you guys had your own versions come through. If you want to type your ho'oponopono into the comments, I'd love to see those. And yeah, I'm so excited about working with you, Phoenix, and I'm excited about those of you that were on the call. Thank you so much. We have tomorrow, so if you're available for round 2, tomorrow I'll be talking about my strategies around retail and in-person events and some of the tips and tricks that I've implemented along the way. And I'll be available for Q&A. I've been doing in-person events and retreats for 10 years in this form of my business, but really 20 years in other forms. And so that's the thing that I get the most questions about is events and retreats and how to weave those into a healing business. So please come with your questions and challenges and hopes and fears, and we'll get talking there. And if you have anybody in your circle that you think would benefit from this call today, please feel free to send the replay or link to them, or I guess the email, and then they would get the replay. And if you have anyone in your circle that would be interested in diving deeper into the in-person stuff, send them the link so that they can get on the call tomorrow. And then we have our retreat / training that starts in the spring. We'll be doing a retreat in Tulum and a retreat in Sedona with 6 months of, like Phoenix said, both group and one-on-one coaching with both of us. So really insane value to have access to both of us and all of the other people in the group. It'll be a small group. So if you're like Phoenix and highly sensitive, this is the perfect small group to get into, but a lot of content there. So if you're like me and love to be around people and learning from other people, we'll have that as well.
Yeah, Rainbow Warrior, we'd love to have you. Again, we have a couple more spots available, and we do have bonuses if you choose to sign on now. We're not going to leave you hanging until February, but we'll start coaching right now.
Yeah.
Getting us activated, oriented into that 6-figure plus level, really. And so you can reach out to us for more info. We can send you an infographic. If you're ready to apply, you can say, I'm ready to apply, and we'll send you the link to apply. And of course, if you apply, we do a call with you where we learn about your business, but there's no pressure to sign up. We want to make sure it's really aligned all the way around. So it doesn't really hurt to apply and hop on a call with us. Again, you get more time with us, and we get to look into you and your business. So, and we get to foster community and connection. It's a really beautiful thing. So we'll see you tomorrow, featuring Venus and Peanut Gallery by me, adding my little tidbit. And I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for joining us live.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, y'all.